Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this session about the lessons learned by EU-NCL for the past 3.5 years. And I hope you will enjoy this session with some report on the state of progress and also some technical presentations. And of course, this session is dedicated to you. That means we will give ample time at the end for questions and answers. So that you, by leaving the room, you know exactly all the benefits you can get by applying to EU-NCL. So today, what is, yes. So where is the, okay, the slides are here. So I'm Patrick Boisseau. I'm working at the CEA in France, which is a public non-profit research and technology organization. And I have the honor of coordinating this project EU-NCL 1. And does it work? No, it doesn't work. Or maybe I should switch on. Okay, thank you. Not really. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what is EU-NCL? Probably you have already heard about EU-NCL in the past 2 days and of course in the past years. So EU-NCL is a European infrastructure. So we are funded by under the framework program Horizon 2020, and we performed all the preclinical characterization of new nanomedicines you are developing. So it means that we are not, let's say, a regulatory agency. We are not, let's say, a CRO, but we are performing this characterization in a non-GLP environment, but to help you, let's say, better understand, let's say, the properties of your nanomolecules or nano-formulations, and in order to speed up, let's say, your application to your national competent authority. And the second mission of EU-NCL is to identify and characterize the critical parameters of the nanomaterials interacting with biological systems. And of course, because analytical science is always improving, we always try to improve our own assays and to provide the assays which are required or which are necessary for the regulatory evaluation by the assessors. Well, in a way, another way of understanding this graph is, okay, when can I apply to EU-NCL? Because if anybody developing new nanomedicines, whether you are an academic lab, a startup, an SME, a large company, if you are located in Europe, you can apply to EU-NCL. And even though if you are located outside, we have some room, let's say, for accommodating, let's say, non-European applications. And so basically, as soon as you have, let's say, an advanced proof of concept at the lab scale, then come to us, contact us, and then we will help you, let's say, preparing your application to EU-NCL. So EU-NCL is not, let's say, a core for project where you have a high selection rate, but EU-NCL is really dedicated to help you. So we are also helping you preparing your application so that the process will be much faster afterwards. And why do we have, let's say, these 8 partners distributed all over Europe and in the US instead of having one single facility? The way how Europe is organized with, let's say, 28 or 27, I don't know, member states, 28 today, and but you don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe much less. And more seriously, so we have decided, of course, in close collaboration with the European Commission 3 years ago, to join forces and then connecting the huge pool of expertise available in the different analytical centers, you will see in the next slide, so that we can offer, let's say, the physical, chemical, in vitro, in vivo characterization of your device, so that you will have, let's say, a complete analytical ID of your nanomedicine, and then it will help you, let's say, filing your dossier before contacting your competent authority. And so this is the map of the partners. So we have, let's say, 7 analytical partners located in Europe, as you can see in Norway, in Ireland, in Germany, France, Switzerland, and Italy. And we have, let's say, like an extension of Europe, let's say, over the ocean, which is the US. And so more seriously, we are lucky enough in having a very close collaboration with the NCI-NCL. And I would like to thank Scott, the director of NCI-NCL, present here today, for, let's say, his deep personal commitment, and for all his team. We are interacting, let's say, on a weekly basis, more or less. And what is not just because, let's say, for political reasons, Europe and US should cooperate, and especially in the current context, it's not really in the air, but just because we are saving time, significant time and resources by exchanging methods, protocols, discussing together about new developments, and also let's say the long-term goal is to go towards harmonization of protocols, of assays, and maybe one day harmonization of regulation, or something looking like a harmonization of regulation. There again, we realize that most applicants, are developing nanoparticles for, let's say, any kind of clinical indication, and the market is both European market and US markets. These are their first priority markets. That's why we want to make their life easier by already I was about to say standardizing, but you will hear more about standards later today, by going towards some kind of alignment of methods and protocols between Europe and US. But we also have some satellite labs, which are, as you can see, very diverse. So the startup company in Cyber Nano, the Force in Heraklion, Crete, and the Institute for Nanotechnology in Braga, Portugal, and more recently the company Seroscience in immunotox. And so these satellites are bringing additional expertise, and there again, this is an open call. Let's say if you know, or maybe if you have a very specific, highly specific expertise or instrument, of course, in the area of nanomedicine characterization, please contact us. This is a very, very flexible process, and it will be one way for you to be connected and aligned with the EU-NCL. What is the concept of EU-NCL? Well, basically, developers are applying to EU-NCL, and Simon Baconnier later on will introduce the process, how to do it. It's not very complicated. So developers are applying once they have, let's say, an advanced proof of concept at the lab scale, and we will perform, let's say, the characterization, there again, as I mentioned, preclinical characterization, and then at the end of the process, we will deliver, let's say, an analytical report. But in order to perform this, let's say, the best or the state-of-the-art, or maybe beyond the state-of-the-art techniques, we also have, let's say, to always develop new techniques or improve or upgrade our techniques. And we do it in connection with, let's say, analytical specialists, but also with the regulators, just to always stick to their needs, because regulators, let's say, are assessing the different regulatory dossiers, and then they have questions, okay, always new questions, because, that's the regulatory assessment of nanomedicine is an emerging area, so that's why we always have to stick to reality and try to adapt, let's say, our assays to bring, let's say, all the relevant information to the assessors. In practice, what do we offer? So once you apply, after all the paperwork, evaluation and all the contractual documents, we will perform a pre-screening, and afterwards we'll perform, just to check, let's say, some basic requirements, like size, zeta potential, contamination, and the toxin. And once it passes this step, then we'll perform the physical characterization, the in vitro and the in vivo tests. We have, let's say, a long list of assays, and of each particle is a different case. It means that maybe if you apply, even if you have one type of liposome, we will, let's say, suggest to you in a research plan a list of assays that we will perform. But let's say if maybe somebody else has another liposome, maybe for another clinical indication, the list of assays will be different. So it's not a standardized procedure. We always adapt our process to the needs of the applicants. And how does it work? That means it's a single and one-stop shop, you could say. So you have a single application, and then you ship your samples to an entry point, and then it's our internal business to aliquot and to distribute the samples to the different analytical platforms, and all the analytical platforms are working together on a weekly basis just to compare the results, and of course to compare the results on physical and chemical analytics, and also in biological understanding. Well, yesterday there was the IPRF forum organized here, which is this international association of regulators, and EU-NCL, thanks to Susan, who will introduce her lecture just during the session. We are connected to these regulators, as I mentioned already, trying to understand, let's say, their needs. We can even refer to unmet regulatory needs, I would say, and then also to inform them about, let's say, the type of nanoparticles we are receiving, and how we handled these situations, because sometimes, you know, some of these nanoparticles are quite challenging in terms of characterization and application. And just to mention that EU-NCL is part of a larger initiative which has been initiated by the European Technology Platform on Nanomedicine. We call it the Nanomedicine Translation Hub, which is a set of services for the developers of nanoparticles. There again, whether you are academics, private companies, small, big, mid-size, and so that you can apply, you can get, let's say, your full characterization at EU-NCL, but you can get, let's say, the GMP manufacturing of your product in the pilot lines, which have been also funded by H2020, and also get, let's say, strategic advice and business consultancy via the Translation Advisory Board, which is also a very efficient process. So, well, please contact me, or if you go to the booth of ETPN and EU-NCL booth in the hall, then you will have all the information. But this is a very, very successful set of services for nanomedicine developers. Well, all the details about EU-NCL are listed, but in order to make it more lively, after me, you will have, let's say, 3 presentations. One will be made first by Simon. Simon is the transnational access manager, so he will explain how to apply and to give you some statistics about what happened in the past 3 years. Then we will have, let's say, a presentation by Susan about, let's say, what we did in regulation and where we want to go about standardization. And then we'll take an example of what happened in the lab, in the EU-NCL with irinotecan in a liposomal form. And then we have several of the experts listed here. So Dr. Adriele Prinamello from Trinity College Dublin, Sven-Even Burgos from Sintef in Norway, Neil from Liverpool, and Fanny Caputo from Grenoble, France. So now, this is my last slide. Thank you very much for your attention. And so we don't have question now. It will be at the end of the session. And now I will ask Simon to come to the floor, please. Thank you.